Hello, y'all. Here is the first video of this year's trip. So yeah, as you probably know, last year I traveled for 8 months all around the world, visiting different intentional communities, and that's sort of my plan this year. I went back home for about 4 months, worked and just kind of saved money and grounded down. And now I am at the beginning of a year-long trip to visit more intentional communities around the world and explore and possibly do some trainings and things. My plan, so I went to Kauai and then to the Big Island, and now in Costa Rica. Just got here yesterday, going to Pachamama community tomorrow. Then I'll be going to Dancing Rabbit in Missouri, to Bali, possibly for a combo training, to the farm in Tennessee, to Lost Valley in Oregon, to Llama Foundation in New Mexico, to Earth Haven in North Carolina, to Twin Oaks in Virginia. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do after that. I'm thinking maybe going back to Costa Rica and then to an island in Thailand called Koh Phangan, where there's supposedly lots of dance and water therapy, Watsu, types of things that I've been really interested in and would want to learn more about. And yeah, my intention really is to learn more about intentional communities, see what's out there in the world, and to just follow what feels in alignment, because I felt really in alignment in this last year traveling around the world and being in community, and then going back home and like going back into the hospitals just felt like totally out of alignment. So just following again what feels in alignment for me. So I spent 8 days in Kauai at my dad's condo with 3 friends, 4 of us total, just kind of exploring and going to dance and being with each other. And then went to an intentional community on the Big Island of Hawaii called Gaia Yoga Gardens for 16 days. Being in Kauai was really fun, just being with friends who did a waterfall ceremony in the jungle. A lot of the island is just like pretty much the entire island is super jungly. That's not true. I think the west side is kind of like more canyon and deserty, as far as like Waimea Canyon. But we were mainly in the jungle. Yeah, I went to one of my favorite days. We all did medicine together at Anini Beach, and I really just saw one of my biggest takeaways was just being like in nature, which is also one of my main intentions for this entire trip, is just really like strengthening the feeling of connecting with nature. So I really felt that, and then I could really see my cravings and my preferences, especially in relationships, but also in life. And I could just see how when I crave things to be a certain way, it's really painful, and I can just hold that with compassion. And there was just a really increased awareness of the craving, and then holding that with compassion, and then just breathing through it and like shaking my body and allowing it to just like alchemize, and then just like repeating that. So that's my practice in integration, is just noticing the craving and then going through that process. Which can just translate obviously to many things in my life. And then also finding like, what is the balance between, I have this preference or this desire or like this craving for things to be a certain way. How do I express that desire to someone, or do I just kind of step back and just watch and be more accepting and equanimous and like allow things to flow without having to like change them? Or is this passing my boundary and like I need to like express my desire again, or I just want to express my desire just because I just want to put it out there, and then maybe I can express my desire, and then if it doesn't happen, then I can be more accepting. So just kind of finding that balance of going back and forth in that. And then, lots of craving around like relationships and, just wanting things to be a certain way, and my friend Doug, who's been with me this entire time in Hawaii, was said, "Who's going to be traveling with you this whole trip?" And it was like, okay, obviously myself. So that's the relationship I really want to nurture and be with. So, spending 16 days in an intentional community on the Big Island near Puna is a county. The community is about 30 minutes away from Pahoa, which is in the jungle of like southeast Big Island. I think it was on like 3 to 5 acres, food forest, just like food everywhere, whether it's like avocados, mangoes, a bunch of sort of exotic fruits and vegetables that I haven't really had before, just like everywhere. And that was one of the cool things about the community too, is they provide all the food for you. It was $40 a day to visit, and I did a work trade, which ended up being like $300 for the whole 16 days, on top of 20 hours per week of work, or land dance as they call it, dancing with the land. A good amount of structures, a lot of them sort of similar to other structures I've seen in the jungle, like Peru, where there's just like wooden structure and then like netting and then almost like leaf roofs or like tarp roofs or both. They had a pool, they used lots of solar, outdoor showers. They had a cow that we milk every day that produces like 2.5 gallons of milk, which we made like cheese with, and yogurts and things. Compost toilets, no toilet paper, so found out pretty quickly which toilet paper or which leaves make nice toilet paper. So that was fun. Nudity was totally allowed anywhere. There was one person that was nude the entire time, which seemed a little cold for me, especially it was like 60 at night, maybe like 80s in the daytime. The founder and director and sort of like main leader of the community there described the community, Gaia Yoga Gardens, as like a 10-cylinder car that's only running on like 3 to 4 cylinders. And I could see that like it really was like big and had a lot of infrastructure and potential. And there was probably like 15 people there total, so there's just not really enough people there to really make a lot of things happen. I remember being at Tamara and just the idea of deprivatization and that like making nothing private. I really love that, and I noticed that the first couple of days there, you're in the jungle and you don't realize like someone is like right there. And there were a couple instances where someone was like talking about someone else, how they were like triggered by them, and the person was like right there and could hear, and they just couldn't see that they were right there. So I just love being in community, and it's like really how hard it is to keep things private, and which just for me helps facilitate transparency. So I love that. I did have some challenges with this community. Like, it just was a little too disorganized and messy for me. I'm like being in Zeg community in Germany and a lot of these other communities, things are just like very organized and very, whether it's like the meetings or like the physical place. Like here at Gaia, there was just like some tarp structures that just had a bunch of things underneath them that just looked too messy for me. I really just like things to be very clean and taken care of. Again, just my preference. And being at these other communities in the past that I've been to, that we work together, we eat together, we do workshops and inner work together, we cook together, we're doing all these things together, so I felt like really close to everyone. And granted, I was only at Gaia for 16 days, so I just didn't feel as close to them because I was there for a short time, but also just because we didn't really do that much together. Like, they had 2 meetings per week, one that was a logistics meeting and another one that was like an NVC, nonviolent communications meeting. I was only able to make it to 2 of the logistics meetings, and they just felt like sort of disorganized, and people were interrupting each other and like getting sort of what I judged to be defensive and like not wanting to volunteer for certain tasks. So yeah, it was just a little bit too messy and disorganized for me. That's just kind of how I judged it. I could see, having less meetings and obligations and things could bring more freedom. So I think like if I want to live in community in the future, that could be more of a possibility of an option of like not having to be at so many things, so I have more freedom. Yeah, and the land dance, the work that we did, basically you just keep track of your own hours and you work and do things like whenever you want, which was nice because it does make it more free, but also like I kind of want to work with people to like build that connection. Also, people were smoking weed there, like only a couple people out of the 15, but like a couple times they did it in a common space, and I could like totally see that people were altered sometimes, which I guess they have like a medical reason technically. For me, I judged it to be more of like a recreational use, but again, I don't really know these people that well. And I just have my own, aversion for alcohol and weed. And yeah, and it's just kind of hard for me to be around people altered in that way. So I think just seeing that I wouldn't really want that in a community that I was staying at, or maybe just doing it in your own space or time. And yeah, everyone was pretty much late for everything. Which I guess is like aloha time, which means like, yeah, we kind of go with the flow. Things don't need to be like super set in stone. I think a lot of you know that I just have a hard time with that, and I can be impatient. And for me, it's just an integrity thing of like, if you say you're going to be here at a certain time, and then you don't do that, it's like you said you were going to do something and then you didn't do it, and then it's like hard to build trust and build integrity. So and I kind of view it as like you saying, I'm okay with you waiting for me, and I'm totally fine if you say, I'm not sure when I'll be able to be there. It could be between 5 and 15 minutes. Then I just like, I know that, and that works for me. But if you say you're going to be there in 5 minutes and then you're there in 15 minutes, like that can be hard for me. So again, yeah, maybe just me, my preferences, again, going back to that and holding it with compassion and stating my boundary. And yeah, so yeah, overall, great time, love Hawaii, and the dance there was amazing. Went to Sundari community as well, got a tour there, very beautiful. They have a spa. And we're heading to Pachamama today for 2 months, work trade, super excited. Very much looking forward to that for a long time now. I love you all, and I miss you so much. See you next check-in.